Right, in this video, it won't be a long one this one, we're going to have a look at the concept of what we call sensors in healthcare. I'm going to throw an image up now. I hope it doesn't offend anyone. It shouldn't really, but this is an image of a guy who's obviously in an intensive care unit. And the reason that obviously throwing this up is that I want to talk about the different types of sensors that sort of are available. Not all of them, obviously there's loads and loads and loads, but as you can predominantly see, this guy obviously has some sort of respiration device there. There is a device, sensors there, and up and down his arm, and they're all going to be taking various readings. You can see here that the nurse is, or the doctor, I'm not sure, is doing a reading here, and of course we have all the way around. Sort of here we've got the various sort of different screens that will display the readings from the sensor, but ultimately this fella has a number of devices connected to him, and these are what we mean by sensors. I just want to emphasize one point here. I often see that in A-levels people say, oh, the sensor sets off an alarm, or the sensor makes a sound, so his heart rate's do. No, the sensor is just a device that records the data from it. It doesn't. It's just the sensor ultimately is just an input device. The sensor doesn't make any noise, doesn't do anything like that. It just takes. It's an input device that takes a reading. Okay, be very careful about the way that you word things. For example, if this thing had a speaker just around about here, this would be the thing that makes the sound. That ultimately is an output device, and inside it, of course, there's a computer inside it which can do the processing. And this brings us back to input, process, output, of course. But just be very careful that when you talk about sensors, you don't say that sensors make noises or alert nurses and doctors to a patient's well-being, because they don't. They just take a reading. They're just an input device. The sorts of readings, of course, that sensors will be used for in this particular thing, well, the classic things, sensors you can take. And this is kind of a general question you get on an exam. You know, state 3 different types of sensor. We've got a temperature sensor. I think that's fairly obviously. By the way, just as you know that's not a thermometer. A thermometer is a I've got to draw this without trying to be too rude, actually, because they always look a little bit rude. You can probably see where this is going. A thermometer is just a glass tube which has mercury or alcohol in it. A thermometer is not a temperature sensor. A temperature sensor is a thermistor. But anyway, won't bore you with that. Just be careful that you don't put thermometer down as a sensor, because it's not. Blood pressure is another reading that you might take via a sensor. Of course, your pulse you can probably work out via a sensor. There's loads of other things like you could have. I'll put a couple more down. I was about to say for fun, but it's probably not really a fun one to be talking about. Brain activity. You've again, one thing I advise you to do, and I'm not mucking around here. If you have access to Sky or DVDs, just watch a few episodes of House. It'll really give you a really good idea for how healthcare works, and various sort of sensors that you can have are all in that. And things we mentioned about respiration. I'm not even sure how to spell that. Respiratory sensors. Check if you're breathing or not. Not just if you're breathing or not, but of course how quickly that you are breathing. I think this is fairly obvious. I think you guys have probably got a handle now that when you go into, as this fella is in intensive care, they wire you up, as simple as that, and they attach loads and loads of different devices, which ultimately, I think we can group all of these things. I think we can group them as vital signs. Do they call them vital signs? I'm not sure that they, now I've said it, I don't know if they do, but I think it's pretty vital to have some sort of temperature, blood pressure, pulse, brain activity, and be breathing. But I'm not sure if doctors actually call that the vital signs, and if they're a little subset of different readings that you can take. Anyway, enough wittering on, because the key question is going to be normally in an exam, what's the advantages of using sensors? So let's just quickly go through that. Advantages of sensors, and I think we'll call it a day after we've done this. So number one of all of the advantages is that these sensors take readings in real time. So as soon as it takes a reading, it's stored, it's thrown straight into the computer. If you want to be really pedantic, yes, there's a slight delay of nanoseconds, but I'm not gonna, it's real-time readings. But of course, I think I'm actually grouped these next, even though there's 3 advantages, I'm going to put them all together. They're real-time readings. Because they're taken by sensors and not using a thermometer, they're highly accurate. And of course, you can also, if you program the computer to take a reading every 10 minutes, it'll take a reading every 20 minutes. It doesn't think, oh, I think Mr. Jones is fine now, I won't bother taking his blood pressure, it looks as though he's going to be okay. It will take the reading every 10 minutes, so it's never missed. Whereas in the old days, of course, if a nurse is looking after somebody and they get distracted or someone else comes in, you have the ability that you could, not ability is not the word, but you have the problem, should we say, that nurses could miss a reading. And of course our sensors give us that real-time, accurate, and they never miss. Talking about nurses, one of the key things in any business now is that ultimately you're going to be attempting to reduce costs. And this does this because, let's be honest about it, if you've got sensors doing all these readings, you don't need as many staff. And certainly those staff that you have, or you might have the same number of staff, they're freed up. So we'll put free up staff time that they can be doing something else. Like they could try and clean the places, apparently. Even though I must say my experience with the NHS has always been very good. I'm never really too sure why people moan so much. But the big advantage of sensors is it can reduce the cost. Yes, there is a disadvantage in that it's expensive to go buy all the kit in the first place, but costs are reduced, and perhaps I should qualify that by saying in the long term, because you can basically employ fewer people. Other advantages of sensors, I'll just do a couple more, is that you can spot trends. I forgot what I did. I did another video previously. I think it might be on the A2 course. It might be early in this one. I can't remember now. Where I talked about blood pressure. Oh, it was first set of videos, data information knowledge, on the first set of videos on this thing here. If you can see that a patient's blood pressure you took it at 11 o'clock and it was 130 over 70, and you take it at 10 past 11 and it's 140 over 80, and you take it past 20 past 11 it's 150 over 90, I think you can see there is a trend, and it's unlikely that it's going to do anything but keep going up. And as a result of that trend happening, a doctor or nurse might decide to, in case of blood pressure, just give them statins or something. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I think the statins will bring blood pressure down, beta blockers, something like that. I don't know. Cut them open. That's a joke I did before, so I'm not going to do that again. Right. But, actually, I think, to be honest with you, I think they'll do. Advantages of sensors. People do put down alert staff. I'll finish off this one. Alert staff via the use of alarms. Mentioned this a minute ago. Please understand that the sensor is just the input device that's connected to the computer, the processing, that is connected to the output device, which is the alarm. The sensor isn't the alarm. The sensor will take the readings that the computer processes to turn the alarm on. Okay, so just be very careful that you don't do that. Anyway, I hope that all makes sense, and we'll call it a day. And there we go. That's sensors for you.